This past week, I participated in Ludum Dare 47. I had made games for both the GMTK and Bracky's game jams earlier this year, and I found that entering game jams greatly accelerates my understanding of game development. This was Loopy Keys. "3 p.m. Friday, school's out, I check the site and find that the winning theme is Stuck in a Loop. I struggled to think of any creative ways to interpret this theme, apparently a problem only I had, so I went with the Groundhog Day route and thought it would be a fun idea to have a guy go through his morning routine every day, but he realizes he's stuck in a limbo where the world gradually gets weirder and more difficult to navigate. 10ish a.m. Saturday, I begin prototyping in Unity. First things first, I should probably follow Bracky's tutorial, but I don't feel like it. I followed Bracky's first-person movement tutorial and integrated board-to-bits tutorial on a nice jump. After messing with the variables for a while, I had a fun, if bland, prototype. I figured that picking up and throwing items would be an integral part of the gameplay loop, so I started brainstorming a way to do just that. I decided on raycast as the best solution for selecting items, and used some basic booleans to tell the computer whether or not an item was being held. My plan for carrying items around was to set the item's position to that of an empty attached to a player every frame, but that led to some jittery results, so I opted instead to make the object a child of the empty hand while it was being held. Perfect. I also did some simple tweaks like adding velocity to the object when you throw it, and using lerp to smoothly pick up objects. But as with every small feature, you add it and it leads to a lot of bugs that I need to fix. 50 for both of these. Maybe let's make it 20! At the time, I was currently in a high school physics class, so naturally I found all the practical parallels of programming to be quite enamoring.
Let's be clear, I'm literally the smartest programmer that has ever lived, okay?
I opened up Blender and began designing our hero's house. I went for a low poly design, both because I didn't have much experience with modeling furniture, and because I didn't have time to make things hyper-realistic. I used basic tools, extruding, loop cuts, mirroring, beveling, and of course making seams for the textures, though I mostly ended up using one color materials, so it didn't matter that much. All the while, I would watch YouTube videos on game development and devlogs, so I'd like to give my special thanks to Vimlark, Meezy's, Jonas Tyroller, Blackthorn Prod, and Pixel Prophecy, among others, for technically helping me finish my game by the deadline. By this point, though, it was Sunday. I imported the model into Unity and began working on the collision and physics of the objects. It's still so surreal being able to see an idea that was once just in your head come to life on screen and be interactable. Whee! Where does it go? Where does it go? Let's take this with me. Woo! Hope that feeling never goes away, because it's really cool, even if it's a dumb idea. I spent several hours adding features, fixing textures, adding sounds, doing little tweaks, nearly giving up. I need to go to bed. But eventually coming to a finished result. I'm not a fast game developer yet, so I had to cut down on the content I wanted to add and settle for a much simpler game, but I wasn't too disappointed because I thought the game was actually pretty fun. 6 a.m. I try to create a build of the game, and this happens. I nearly gave up at this point, because I knew nothing about games behaving differently outside of the editor, and I didn't even know where to start. Luckily, a nice cup of coffee solved all that, and I did some research and discovered how to compile into developer mode, and from there found the error on the log and googled it. I checked all the boxes that Unity needed, and built the game again. This time, it worked. I did a few quick renders and wrote up a paragraph about it, and then published it to the site several hours before the deadline. I really enjoy doing these game jams. It forces me to actually finish a project, which I think is one of the most important steps in getting better at the craft. Now, my game isn't the greatest, it's glitchy, it's graphically underwhelming, the sound effects aren't good, and you can tell which parts of it were rushed, but I finished it. And though I may come back to the project in the future, for now it's out there, and as far as I'm concerned, it's done. If you want to try it out for yourself, I'll leave a link to it, but in the meantime, that's all I have to say. Ciao for now.